Hello everyone, my name is Alex. In this video I will speak about myself honestly. I am recording this video emotionally because I feel very bad and in pain right now and I don't even have anyone to pour out my pain to, so to speak. That's why I decided to record this video. Maybe I will regret it later, maybe I will delete it later. But that will be later. And now I want to speak out. As you already understood from the title of this video, about how I was cheated on, but not just cheated on, but about how I was deceived for 2.5 years. I know that we all love other people's stories, we all love to pick through other people's underwear, so to speak. I am absolutely calm about this and absolutely not ashamed in front of the person whose name I will mention here, and you will understand, because I know that many women have gone through such situations. Perhaps someone is afraid of getting into them, but be that as it may, this is my story. I will try not to chew all this over as briefly as possible. Let's start from the beginning. I am a completely single girl. I was 32 at that time. Well, almost 32 years old. I live my life absolutely calmly. I work somehow there. I move forward in terms of work and did not really delve into the sphere of relationships. And yes, from time to time I had some acquaintances on a dating site, but all this was very little. And all this was like that. You know, it ended well. We walked, went to the cinema, went to a cafe, and basically that's it. That is, I had not had any serious relationships at that time for a long time, because I had no time for it. In the summer of 22, I met a guy on a dating site. He was 29 at that time. Well, like a nice, cute guy to my taste, I liked him. He wrote to me, and we immediately started a normal correspondence. Those who have been on dating sites, you know what I'm talking about. He did not drag out the cat by the balls. He immediately, in principle, asked me to meet. I agreed, we met, and I really liked him. I liked that he was such a sincere, simple guy and basically behaved normally, adequately. That is, there were no red flags. There were none at all. As a girl who, so to speak, has already lived a little life, I have a rather traumatized situation with attachment to people. I understood that well. I'm just saying this so that you understand that I looked at the situation soberly. I did not have some kind of super love for him right away. No, well, he was just a nice guy, just cool communication. Everything started spinning, we started dating, started visiting each other. All this was very easy and relaxed. There was no intrigue, like he doesn't call me for a day or two. Don't write or I'll write to him, and he'll answer there in 8 hours. No, we communicated very easily. He was always in touch. He wrote to me and it was not simple. We immediately started communicating on Facebook, sending each other photos, voice messages. That is, constantly always. So half a year passed and during this time we of course communicated, discussed some future plans. He introduced me to his brother. He rented an apartment with his brother. I came to visit them. I was acquainted. I was part of this circle. He told me about his family, that his mother works as a doctor. And dad, well, got drunk, drinks a lot of alcohol, that he has a grandmother and grandfather. They are his closest people and he lived with them for most of his life, his childhood. Okay. That is all that I knew about him at that time, and in principle he always kind of told me everything. That is, he was such a good guy, simple and understandable. In other words, in every way always from the first day of meeting me told me how much he liked me. That is, people who are very stingy with some emotions. He was not such a person. That is, he liked me. He immediately told me about it, but most of the qualities that he had, I really liked. Then the decision was made to move in together, and it was probably even more his decision. It was mutual. I agreed. We started thinking about how to do it, how to organize it all better. At that time, I was renting an apartment in which, no, I was no longer working from home. Yes, I was no longer working from home. I was renting an apartment. In principle, it had an adequate price and the apartment was not bad. But I didn't like it. I had been living there for 5 years at that time. I didn't like it, not even that I didn't like it. I was just tired of it. I told him that ideally I wanted to move to another apartment and we decided that we would live in this apartment for some time, and then we would move to a new apartment, find ourselves a cozy nest in which we would live with him, create our own life. He moved, everything was fine. At that time he had some problems with work and for 1 month, even for 3 months he earned very little. He worked in some warehouse, he earned very little, his money was only enough to pay for the apartment, and I bought the groceries. I was not particularly happy with this arrangement, so I told him about it right away. But he promised me that everything would change and he would be more. I believed him to earn more. Well, the guy is trying, he really worked a lot, took on extra shifts. But what won me over most of all was, of course, his attitude towards me. It was really very good. I was simply bathed in love, in tenderness. I have never felt so easy and free with a person. I have never felt so spiritually close to a person. An emotional connection is very important to me, that is, it is very important to me when I am not just, excuse me, a piece of meat for a man, but when I am a person for him and when he is interested in my problems. He always helped me with everything, starting with some basic household chores, ending with just everything that I need. Well, of course, this really won me over. Time passes, he came to me before the new year. By the way, everything before the new year strange happened. Before the new year on the 20th, he comes to me. In December we celebrate the new year in that apartment. Time passes, after 3 months he finds himself a higher paying job, while he is doing an internship and all that. He is very worried that they will not take him there. In the end they took him, his salary increases, and he fulfilled all his promises. He pays for the apartment, takes on other expenses, we decide to get a dog, we got a dog, everything was good, everything was wonderful. I literally documented every day. I was actively maintaining Instagram then, and in my stories just every day. If I open the archive now I have everything, and my dog Lewis, by the way, his name is also Alex, and that's how wonderful life was. Summer comes, in the summer of 23 we find an apartment, also in this area, we move. I can't say that I really liked this apartment. But since we have animals, that is, everything overlapped, but in principle we discussed it, decided that this apartment suits us. And so we move in, so to speak. Our new love nest, I remember those days. He moved things, did it all himself, that is, I was completely relieved of all these moments. We went and chose bed linen, dishes. Well, that is, we arranged our entire life and it was all so great and so new, because I never had such a relationship. Well, that is, my relationship never reached the point of living together, let's say so, and his too, as he told me, that he never had such a relationship and everything was great. We lived in this apartment, everything is fine at work. He works, earns money, they gradually even raised his rate there. And over time, he began to pay for almost our entire life, rent for the apartment, all our trips, he bought most of the food, and also at that time I made a friend who offered me a part-time job on a forum. There are such forums, they take place in different cities, all sorts of politicians come and meet, there you could earn some extra money. But I offered him something like, do you want it? Here is an option, I have a contact. He agreed, went there to work, everything was good. He liked it, he was paid for it, well, they paid money of course, and now we continue to live in this apartment. Everything is good, everything is not that good, everything is just perfect, good relations, warm, trusting. It is clear that each person has his own concept of a good relationship, but in my attitude, in my understanding of relations, it is when you are very emotionally connected with a person. When you care about each other's problems, when you are constantly in emotional contact, you are constantly in correspondence. When he is at work, we are constantly corresponding. And in the morning and in the afternoon and in the evening, that is, it was not such that it was directly, sick love, like a report for every step, no, but it was always a desire, good morning, some jokes and memes during the day, some everyday issues, by this, by that. I love you, I miss you and so on and so forth, all this was, and he actively helped me in my work. I was then participating in the championship. I needed a model for men's eyelash extensions, he generally agreed without any problems, he participated in this, shot videos for me and in principle for all my desires. He always agreed, I never had to beg him and God forbid I did not force him. All my clients saw him, very many, he often came to meet me from work, when we had the same time and everyone said, damn, such a cool guy, marry him, that is, this is not my this is not what I made up for myself, this is not the story that I made up for myself, that is, all people always noted him as a very well-mannered, open, sociable, cheerful person. These are not only my words, my girlfriend's. I do not have very many of them, but they are there. They also seem to have a good opinion of him. That's how we lived. Everything is fine. He took care of me, he brought me coffee in the morning, and we went for a walk somewhere. Yes, we could not afford to go on vacation or any big expenses. But as for ordinary life, we had everything. We made plans for the future. We talked about the wedding. We even wrote down what kind of wedding we wanted and so on. All this happened. He confirmed all his words not only with words, but also with deeds. A year passed. We celebrated our second New Year in this apartment. It was wonderful. We were together. I was happy, that is, everything was wonderful. It was an amazing New Year, and then everything was also good. During this year I personally experienced very big changes at work. Somehow I got a little confused, so to speak. I experienced it and could not understand what was happening to me, either burnout, or the fact that I went to study to become a cosmetologist. I went to study, I was also looking for something, trying and so on. Here comes the summer of the 24th year and there is another offer to work once again on the forum where he worked, and after this forum the person begins to change a little. How did it happen? Before that he spent all his free time with me, well, absolutely always with me. That is, he rarely went anywhere with friends. If he went, he took me with him. That is, everything was fine, and then as he told me, he met some guys on the forum. They are so cool. They hear he was invited there, invited him here, some kind of action. I say, well, of course, go. I basically do not accept relationships where you need to ask someone for permission. Yes, they're to go for a walk with friends, sit or ask for permission with the guys to drink beer after work. For me this is basically unacceptable. I always let him go. Well, I let him go. It sounds strange, that is, he told me. I went there. I say, yes of course. Well, a month of summer passed and I understand that during this month we never went anywhere together, and he is always walking somewhere, and I began, well, I said something like, Alex, like everything is fine, and you are walking, it's wonderful, well, like I am also in your life. I also want to participate, and also summer, like I also want to spend it with you. I also want to walk. I say, take me with you, to these events of yours, to which he began to make excuses and say that there are only guys there, and the girls who come there are with guys, and they came, quickly left, and here we are, you understand, there are only guys there, they smoke and swear. I, such a trusting soul, believed him, like, well, okay, then it all continued partying. I mean, at some point I couldn't stand it and said it like it is, I'm not happy with this. And let's do something about it, because I'm not ready to put up with the fact that you're hanging around without me all summer. I'm not forbidding you to meet anyone, to go out with anyone, but excuse me, I should be in your life too. He agreed with everything, nodded his head yes. In the end, with great difficulty he allocated a day for me. We went for a walk, played billiards, walked around the city. What a great day we had. That day I already felt good in the morning. And somehow I didn't feel very well. I had a headache and accordingly, when we got home my temperature rose. Well, it happens, I got sick, I had 37 and something. I say damn, I'm sick. To which he looks at me and says, the main thing is for me not to get sick now. And this phrase, you know, it cut me, such a shitty temperature, I felt so bad, I burst into tears, turned away, and from that moment somehow it all started. I understand this now. Then I was just offended, plus well, he never behaved like that towards me, on the contrary, he always made me feel comfortable in every possible way if I was sick, and he was like, sorry for saying that, I didn't mean that, but you understand, you can transfer clients to yourself, but if I take like days now, they won't pay me for them. Well, in short, he sat on my ears and left. I said, are you coming home tomorrow? And he went out for a walk at night. He said, no, the guys called me there. And I felt so bad about it, and in the end, how did it end? I lay with a fever for 3 days, then I ended up getting bronchitis. I called myself a doctor, and he didn't come for a day, didn't come for 2, and he wrote, and I just sat in this oblivion. I just lay in bed with a fever for all 3 days. I can't sleep, I can't do anything. In the end I had a tantrum for the first time in our entire relationship. I had a real hysteria. I screamed. I recorded messages for him, screamed, said come. I begged him, please come, I feel bad. I don't want to be sick alone. Why did you leave? Why did you leave me? That's not how you do things. And what did he say? Baby, I'm like, I'll come, definitely tomorrow. I say, you have to come today, because you've already been gone for 2 days. It's not normal that you don't spend the night at home. In the end he never came. By that time I was already starting to feel, well, a little better. These peaks of the disease went away, the temperature went down. I just understand that this is just some kind of, well, nightmare. This is cringe, guys. I'm sitting here, and I understand that the person behaved in some way, well, the most ugly way possible towards me. For me, this is unacceptable. I tell him about it, he sits and looks at me with puppy eyes, and he had this, as an argument, that, yes, I was not next to you, but here's the bank card, like the card gave you ordered everything for yourself, medicine and ordered food. That is, I provided for you, like, yes. Well, like, yes, I'm not really saying anything here, I paid for everything with his card. Although I had money, but I think, on the one hand, he is right, but on the other hand, and I am right, and on this we hushed up this situation. He continued his partying, his nightly trips, explaining that he has such a job, that he has night shifts and day shifts, and he said that I work at night, party, then come to work, sleep for 2 hours there. And then I party again, well, like I work again. Even then it seemed strange to me, be that as it may. Well, to take so much energy, so as not to sleep so much, as he claims, I don't know, and at that moment I was already starting to feel something. But my brain. He didn't allow any strangers into our relationship, not because I'm some kind of fool, although most likely I am, but because I think a woman who was cheated on, she understands that there are always some warning signs. There he turns his phone over, goes off somewhere to talk for a long time, sits in the toilet for a long time or hides something there, but this didn't happen with him, nothing happened. The only moment was when I went to search for a number, the devil just pulled me. I typed in his number and like from all the contacts there was one, Darling. I ask him, who is Darling? To which he makes innocent eyes and starts telling me that, oh, it's probably one of the guys messing around. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, one of the guys messed around, honey, what's wrong with you? And well, in the end, I believed him. Now I'm replaying it all back, I think, maybe I just wasn't ready to admit it all mentally then, I don't know. I missed it, girls, I missed it. He tearfully promises me, please, let me, I'll have a good summer, and when the summer is over, I'll come home and everything will be fine with us. I love you so much. I love you so much, and the summer is over. And he really did stop going out. He started taking a few night shifts there and everything went back to how it used to be, and during that summer, when he was going out, I was already so on edge, I didn't understand how to behave. What to do. I understood that I was in a relationship that didn't suit me at that moment. I went to, well, not exactly long-term therapy, but I had sessions with a psychologist, and practically the whole of August I worked with a psychologist, even with 2 different ones. And with a man and a woman, so that there were such different points of view on this matter. And so I'm so worked through. I already understand that, in principle, if he also wants to continue living, having fun, drinking, he doesn't need me there, he doesn't need a relationship. Well, let's separate, I told him about it. I say let me leave. I was ready to leave, even morally, I was ready to leave. I say, I'll move out of the apartment, stay, you pay for it. That is, he wouldn't have changed anything at all in this situation. At some point he said, yes, maybe this is how it should be, then right there, he's like, no, 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 he started to sob, cry, ask me to give him a chance, that he would fix everything and so on and so forth. That is, somehow, he was constantly crying, and I was still thinking, God, how emotional. Well, let's try. Well, in the end, he stopped hanging out, autumn began, September, in principle it was more or less normal. well, in principle, everything was as always, but I want to note, this is very important, all this tenderness in the relationship, it was there, that is, he was not hungry. He was not emotionally distant, we were constantly hugging, he was constantly asking, how am I doing? There, about my experiences, that is, well, everything was okay. I was like, well, the guy went out, well, he wanted to unwind with the guys, so he sat with me for a year, well, okay, fine, fine, and since October he tells me that now I will take more work shifts, because I want to put aside more money so that we do not need anything, and in principle it was logical. You can see for yourself what the situation is now, prices for everything are rising, everything is going up. They raised the rent for our apartment, and that is, again, it was in such a context that I didn't suspect anything, on the contrary, like damn, what a great guy I have, you work, you give me the opportunity to work less there, in order to provide us with everything, and so time went by and now I'm rewinding. I already understand that there were some moments, he began to say less often. I love you, he only answered when I said, I love you too. He began to say goodnight to me less often when he went on night shifts, that is, we used to text each other there and then he would come after the night shift, bring me coffee with a bun, such a caring guy. I constantly asked him, Alex, isn't it hard for you to work like this? Well, like, let's give him money in cash, but still, health is also more important, you don't need to leave him at work. To which he's like, everything is fine, I have a goal, I set a goal and I'm ready to work. Well, if I'm ready, then I'm ready. And it was getting closer to the new year. I probably started asking him from the very end of November, what do you want? Well, for the new year, what should I give you? Well, find out things like that, because last year, everything was kind of the same, to which he started telling me, oh, I don't need anything, I haven't figured it out yet, I'll tell you later. I'm like, okay, well, that's also kind of strange, but I think, well, I've been working too much. That is, I spent all of this on the fact that he'd been working too much. December began. I started asking him in the middle of December, what do you want for the new year? What do you want? Fish, meat, well, those kinds of homey things. To which he said, oh, I don't know, do whatever you want, like come on, like do whatever you want, like I'll eat everything, and in October, the dog needed to have his teeth, he knew about it, and I said, like, well, I need to have my teeth removed, he said, okay. We went, had my teeth removed, paid $200 for it, he paid, that is, he paid for everything was the same, I already said that at the beginning of the summer he worked at the forum. And after this forum they were supposed to pay him $700? Well, approximately $700, I asked him, well, did they pay you money? Well, I didn't claim this money at all, not at all, but we had such a relationship, we never hid anything from each other. And he called me for the first time, it was probably the only time like this, when he said, no, they didn't pay, they will pay you, don't worry. It was so strange. That is, it's not like him at all, and in principle he is not the kind of person who is ready to, they cheated him out of money, and he is ready to just take it and give it to someone, it was strange. And some more time passed, I also asked, what about the money? What about the money? He was like, everything is fine, in the end, I even got aggressive somehow, like you don't want to talk, he was like, yes of course, no, this is all wrong, and that's it, that is, it wasn't even a scandal, well, it wasn't anything, that's just how I am, I noted strange behavior for myself. The 20th of December of this year comes. He still hasn't decided what he wants with the gift. He still hasn't even asked what I want. Well, as a gift and already then I understand that something strange is happening. I just felt that something was wrong with him, and he was like, you know, he was a very eloquent guy, he could speak beautifully, he loved poetry, he often read poetry to me, that is, you know, it was all so romantic. And so on the 22nd I leave for work. It was a completely ordinary day and nothing foreshadowed trouble. In the morning he hugged me so tightly, we lay around, I went to work, and he had the day off that day. And at work, I was on a break and he wrote to me, let me come to you, bring you coffee, let's sit together. I say, yes, of course, come, and for us it was usual, that is, if before I had breaks, he would come to me, or he would come and meet me after work, and all this was normal for us, that is, nothing foreshadowed trouble. He comes to me at work, we drink coffee, talk as usual, everything as always. He looks at me and says, I have to tell you something, baby. I just sit, look at him. And I have such a reaction to everything, I have a defensive reaction of laughter. I look at him and say, God, what happened to you? God, speak. All sorts of thoughts were already flying through my head. Maybe he got fired from his job there? What? What happened? And now he just dumped a huge ton of shit on me. It turns out he lied to me about a lot of different things, starting with his age. It turns out he wasn't 29 when we met, but 25, and for some reason he didn't tell me about it. He was afraid of something. Afraid of what? I still don't understand. Well, okay, I'm sitting here, digesting this information with age and thinking, well, to be honest, it was more funny to me. Well, the dude lied about his age, he wanted to seem, well, like, better, more handsome, I don't know. When we met, he lived with his brother. I think I already talked about this, and he had a cat, such a red, cool cat, Ben. He tells me, I found this cat in the trash 13 years ago, and since then he has been living with me. Such a, well, damn, cool, loves animals, what a guy, what a dream guy. And a month after our relationship, Ben disappeared. I ask him, where is Ben? To which he tells me, I don't even ask, he himself tells me, you know, Bija, I get it, I want to live without Ben for a little while. I sent him to my grandmother. And his grandmother lives somewhere in Arizona, so I sent him there. They have a suburb there, everything is fine there. I say, okay, well, your decision, sent the cat. He still sent me photos, sent a lot of things, well, he kind of sent the cat. And so when he comes to see me at work, it turns out that Ben is not his cat, but his friend's cat. I say, what was the point of this lie? Like, he wanted to embellish himself, that he is so noble, that he saved a kitten? Okay. What next? It turns out that his parents are ordinary alcoholics, and ordinary alcoholics, drunks. And he told me that his mother is a doctor, almost a surgeon. I'm like, okay, well, in principle I can also understand, because who likes to know that their parents are alcoholics, who have been drinking all their lives? No one. You want to be proud of your parents somehow. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, he lied, fine. I say, well, you and I have been together for so long, why didn't you tell me during this time? 2.5 years. It's not a month, we've known each other for more than 2, but we already live together, we have a joint budget. Why is that? I don't know. He sits there, crying, just crying. She's like, okay, what else? I was paid for the form back in the summer, I didn't tell you, I squandered it. I say, okay. Well, okay, like, even if you told me yourself that I wanted to squander the money, I still wouldn't have stopped him in any way. Your money, please, go ahead. I'm provided with everything, like you're closing all the issues we agreed on, and I didn't lay claim to your money. I say, okay. And I felt so bad about the fact that what he hid from me was that he didn't tell me. I say, okay, well, he didn't tell me, okay. And then I'm already starting to understand that maybe there's something there, someone, well, there are so many lies, where is this going? I look at him point blank and ask, Alex, do you have someone? He looks at me and says, just imagine a crying man sitting, looking you in the eyes and saying, I'm done, I lied to you about everything, except that I have someone, you are my favorite, you are my only one, I have never, like, cheated on you, I never even thought about it. Okay. He continues his conversation, I don't understand how you can live with me after all these lies, I am so ashamed to look you in the eyes that I am ready, I have already packed, or rather my things, because I am afraid that you will not forgive me. I say, wait, what do you mean, have you packed your things? What things have you packed? Well, I mean, I say, what is going on anyway? What are you, an idiot? He is like, well, I packed all my things, because I was afraid. Okay. In the end, I was just overwhelmed by all this information. I write to my client who was supposed to be with me. I say, sorry, I can't do it at all. I'm rescheduling it for the next day, and I hate doing that. I say, let's go home. He's like, well, what, are you from work? I say, yes. Well, sit down from work yourself. I'm in such a state. We come home, and all his things are packed here, all his bags, everything is standing there. I say, I still don't understand. I say, what's the problem? I say, tell me, what's the specific reason? What nonsense, you packed your things because you lied to me about your age, and now you're ashamed? What is the reason? I want to go hiking. I say, what the fuck hike? What the fuck hike? I have a dream, I want to go to the Grand Canyon now, go work there as a tour guide, and then, go hiking. I say, are you an idiot? I say, what the fuck hike? What's going on with us now? In the end, he's standing there, sobbing. I'm just sitting there, all my emotions are kind of exhausted. Before that he was, well, crying, blowing his nose, turning pale, wiping his snot, and now he just burst into tears. He started kissing the dog. God, I love you so much, please forgive me, the earth is round, we'll see each other again. He stood there, wiped his snot, recited some poetry to me, looks me in the eyes, says, well, tell me not to leave. I say, Alex, you're crazy. I say, no one is kicking you out. No one is kicking you out. In the end, he came out, left. And there was another moment. I said, well, you're just here now, just in time, before the new year. I say, don't you care that before the new year I'm left all alone in this apartment where we moved, where everything reminds me of you? And plus, well, in terms of finances, I say, I don't have the finances now to go and rent an apartment there or even continue to pay for it. Well, not to mention continue to pay for it, but in general I wasn't ready financially. He says, I'll bring you the money, I'll bring you money, I'll help you, I won't abandon you. I say, why the fuck do you need this if you won't abandon me? In short, there were a lot of questions, I just sat there like I was covered in shit. He left, I was in shock, I cried, I took a crap, I did all sorts of things, I told my loved ones about it, of course, I was in shock with whom I could share everything. I text him about the money the other day, he replies that, right now. As a result, during the day he promised me this money and I give him credit, during the day he sent me $700. I say thank you. That same day, already in the morning, he started writing to me about, God, what have I done, why did I leave, I don't understand why I left, I just left, and I just stepped out the door, I remember how you were standing there, looking at me, I don't know what happened at all, maybe it's possible to take everything back, and in general I don't need this dream, it's somehow too ambitious, I want to take everything back. In the end, we're texting there, and he asks to come back, I want to come back, I want to come back. I say, then come back, I say, come back. He says, I'll come tomorrow. When he was leaving, I say, where are you going? He says, I'll go to my parents. His parents live in Mesa, Arizona. I say, oh well. In the end, he says, I'll come back tomorrow. I say, with things? He says, well, I'll move everything. I have so many, actually I have so many bags, I was just shocked when I had to drag it all little by little, yeah, I understand that I've added some work to my load. I say, okay. In the end, he doesn't write the next day, he didn't write practically until the evening. I already wrote, I say, well, I'm not writing to you on purpose so as not to irritate you, I'm just walking around right now, lying on my parents' bed, walking, thinking about how I should live this life, I need time to figure myself out. In short, he started to come to terms with the fact that he needs to figure himself out, but there was no conversation with the woman at all. In the end, he whined until December 23rd about how he wants to come back, how hard it is for him, he sends me something like, "Don't you feel that feeling when you're lying in bed that something is missing? We were there together." I say, "You're an idiot." So Christmas comes, I'm left alone. To be honest, I was counting on some, well, verbal congratulations, because after all, we have such a relationship, very daily correspondence, which just disappeared one day. No one congratulated me after 12 o'clock at night. I wrote to him myself without any complaints. I just wrote, I say, "Of course, I can understand everything. I honestly feel bad that you didn't even congratulate me on Christmas." And somewhere around 3 o'clock at night he wrote to me. Well, I was already asleep. I read it in the morning. He wrote me some kind of poem, that this is what Christmas is like, believe it or not. There's just such a speech, girls, believe it or not, but I'm celebrating this Christmas completely alone. I went there to my parents' dacha, to some hunting lodge, bought myself a can of stew, and here I am, like, sitting alone, and that's it. Sorry about this Christmas. And excuse me, please, but I still can't figure myself out, blah blah blah. I look at this nonsense in the morning, like, dude, I can't help you here anymore. That's it, that's it. Today is January 2nd, in principle, I've already calmed down a little. Clients, in reels, he was constantly flashing by me. Everyone always noted, God, what a guy, marry him. That's all I heard. That is, it wasn't like he was one person in public, and when he comes home, he changes. No, he was the same as he was in public. I don't know why I did it. I've never done it before, but on that very day I go to his Instagram page, open his photo, he kept it special. I open this last photo, which is in the profile, and just look, and who likes his photos? Well, you know, girls, we turn on our deduction. I see one girl, she has a story, but I go in, and he's there with her, that's it, with people at the Christmas table, and there's not only stew on the table, there's no hint of stew there. I'm like, very cool, wonderful. I write to this girl, "Hi, who is this guy to you?" To which she tells me, honestly, thank you to her, well done girls. She replies, well, at first, like, not right away, like. What's wrong? Well, that's all. That's it, and she dumped it, sent me a correspondence about stew. She's sitting there like, well, I don't know what she's doing there. She writes to me, oh, well, actually, we've been dating for 6 months now. I'm like, how great, how great. I say, and you didn't know about me? She says, no, he said that he lived with his brother, and he rented an apartment with his brother, but now the owner decided to sell the apartment, and that's why he's leaving. Well, I say, has he moved in with you? She says, yes. I say, how great, he said that he has animals, they are with his parents now. I say, great, wonderful. Well, in short, I kind of told her all this through correspondence. She is also shocked. I say, well, will you forgive him? Or will you kick him out? She is like, I don't know, I'm sitting here, thinking what to do, but most likely there is no future, but I am honestly sure that she will forgive him. I say that he is crying there, reading. She is like, well, he doesn't read poetry, but he is crying, saying that he kind of deceived me, like he really regrets that, and he really regrets that he didn't tell me about this relationship. And then, of course, I was overwhelmed. He has a cousin, she lives right there where grandma is, his aunt is also there. I call her, and she came to visit us last year, she came to visit us, lived with us. I think I've gone crazy. We had Eva, she came, she was sleeping, and we were like going for a walk, but I couldn't have imagined it. I call her and say, Eva, please tell me everything as it is. And she's like, well, I dumped all this on her, she's a young girl, she's 18, I threatened her with all this, of course, she's in shock. She says, Alex, I don't justify this at all, even though he's my brother. Well, this is the most piggish attitude. But it turns out that grandma knew, and because he communicates well with grandma, and at the beginning of the summer he told her that he had a girlfriend and he didn't know what to do. I sat there and told him, go away, let's break up. I was mentally prepared for this, I went to therapy, I had money put aside at the time. I said, let's break up. To which he sat, cried, sobbed, said, no, 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 no. I believed him like a fool. And now I feel completely morally destroyed by this situation, simply morally destroyed. In the end, I talked to his sister, and she said that as a child he never lied, but at the same time it was noticed that he could lie to other people, embellish himself in some little things, and in order to seem better. And he lied to his ex-girlfriend that he had an apartment in Chicago, that he served in America and he had a visa, and he and the girl were planning to go to Canada, sell this apartment in Chicago and move to Canada. And then the girl found out that there was no apartment, no fucking Canada, and was, of course, shocked by this. A small thing, but everything is made up of this small thing. And I think last year a video of a woman named Reese Thies went viral on TikTok, something like that. And she recorded this story that she lived with a pathological liar, and I was listening to this story, I was like, what the hell is going on, excuse me, please, but this is some kind of weird crap, because how is it possible? And there I am just sitting there, thinking, well, I know my sister, he knows about his grandmother, about me, I saw his brother, well, that is, I am not just some kind of, we live together, here are his things, well, that is, we have a shared life, his card is linked to my accounts there from the scooter, from all the stores, I ordered from the card, I constantly ordered food from this card and made all sorts of purchases. Well, that is, did I dream this? We were planning a trip to his grandmother this summer, which will be in 2025. And it turns out that when he left, he said that he cried and said, you are the best thing that happened in my life. I dialed him there, he hung up. In the end, he wrote a text message, I'll call back later. I write, take your balls in a fist and call back now. Well, in the end, as I understand it, he blocked me, because when I dial him, it says that the subscriber is busy, well he did not read my messages on Facebook, but did not delete the correspondence. I think, well, that is, you, damn, are a strange guy, you got a woman, why the hell did you give me money, why didn't you admit it? I mean, I have a lot of questions. And most of all in this situation, excuse me for this, my speech is so unconnected, because I did not have any plan at all, I just sat on emotions, this happened literally now, I found out about this woman, I just dumped all this on emotions, it's all so chaotic. What irritates me most in this situation is that it's not just cheating, yes, the man kind of lived for two, he lived for one, he was scratching my ears, and the fact that all this lie, all this trifle, he told me in the spring, let's have a child, well, not just have one, well, let's try. I say, fuck, where can we try, we don't have our own apartment or anything, where can we try, I'll stop working now, I say, well, we can't afford one on your salary, what the hell kind of child? And I'm sitting here going over all this in my head, thinking, excuse me, please, if you have sensitive ears, close them, I'm just in shock. I tell everyone I know, their eyes will widen and they'll say something like, Alex, what's wrong with you, he couldn't. He could. And now he's such a coward that he doesn't get in touch, and there he is, and he kept telling me until the very end, baby, everything's fine. And I also have some kind of feminine intuition, although I didn't sense a woman. Well, that is, my brain still understood that something, was wrong. I ask him somewhere around December 19th, I say, Alex, I ask you there about the new year, I say, you don't say anything, isn't there a present there? I say, are you by any chance planning to go somewhere and leave me alone? And he looks at me like, wow, where would I go? I say, I don't know where you're going, where would you go? He looks, and now it seems to me that in every such pause, when he looked at me, he seemed to be waiting for me to wait for him, well, as if I would wait for him and he would confess and I would start to sort it all out, but it's a lie. I hate it with every fiber of my being. I hate lies and small things and imagine what you were afraid of, that's what happened to you. I'm still sitting here, before the new year, I didn't know about the other girl yet, I'm thinking, they say, this 24th year was the year of karma. I'm thinking, where did I screw up so badly? And now it seems to me that it wasn't my karma after all. I don't know, of course, I'm trying to calm myself down in every way, but I'm very offended, girls, I'm so offended, I'm so bitter, I'm so hurt. And probably, I'm sitting here thinking, ignorance is bliss. But no, I'm very glad that I found out. I'm very grateful to this girl that she told me that yes, as it is, she didn't hide anything. Let's say I'm sure that she'll forgive him now and that they'll live there until his next new campaign. I just don't understand. On the one hand, after this situation I understand that I don't want to trust anyone at all. We already have a shortage of men, normal ones, and here's someone like that, even if someone who seemed normal to me turned out to be like that. And how can you communicate if a person tells you the truth? Well, that's just for the future. Now I'll meet someone, and he'll tell me, I've been there for so many years, I have an apartment there, come on, show me your documents, who's registered there, and let's go and see, maybe you have a wife there. That is, for me, it's basically wild to behave like that and constantly suspect a person, go around sniffing something out. I'm not that kind of person. It's very important to me that I'm loved, that I see it, that I feel it. I'll never sniff around there. I'm not a jealous person. Well, I'm jealous. I mean, how can I say this? I feel even more pain. He latched on when I found out, when I didn't know about the woman. I was still trying to understand what was going on in his head. I thought, damn, the guy is confused. Well, maybe he really does have such a dream, to go on a hike. It's somehow strange. Okay, it's strange for me. You have to accept people with their weaknesses. And when I found out about the woman, I just felt disgusted and nasty, disgusted even to look at him, to remember everything that happened. And now I'm left with some kind of incomprehensible feeling from this relationship, as if I lived in a cocoon. I was cruelly deceived, screwed over. I'm just sitting there in shock. I've already cried, and I'm sitting here, and I understand. Damn, I don't want to cry because of this. That is, it would be okay if he just left. He left for another, he used it on someone. Should I cry because of this? No, I don't want to, I won't. That's the situation, girls. Thank you to everyone who watched to the end. I would be glad to have some support from you. I don't know, I just feel really unpleasant. On the other hand, I just wasn't ready, you know? If we had some kind of argument, some kind of something, I would have found some lipstick marks and stuff. And so nothing happened, nothing happened. I also write to this girl, I say, how did he correspond with you? We are constantly corresponding. He comes home, his phone is always lying face up. If there are any messages, I can always look at the screen, like there, well, press, as it were. There were never any left-wing movements at all. She says, I don't know, I thought I was very lucky, he is so cool. Well, I was lucky, that's the story.